Our next presenter is Dr. M. Jayawardena, presenting on development discourse of the minor tank villages in Sri Lanka, a case study of 3 minor tank villages in Anuradhapura district.
Good morning to you, Professor H.D. Karunaratne, Session Chair, my dear presenters, my dear students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here, present my study outcome because now this is going to be very much relevant when you talk on the yesterday plenary sessions as well as the presentation in the previous session. So the challenge that I am having is I have to present this thing within 12 minutes time, and you know now because of the nature of all these subject areas, very difficult to present everything within 12 minutes time. I try my best to present it. This is the overview of my presentation. With that, I would like to draw your attention to the background of the subject area. As I said earlier, it is very broad and of course controversial, you know, now social science subject areas. When it comes to development, yes, very relevant my argument. Now development is a controversial topic right now, very much subjected to arguments. Now all development concepts based on the Western modernization. Now when we look at the concepts as well as models that we go through in the present economic literature, found that all based on the West except a few. Now the developing countries, when it comes to developing countries, all these development models and explanations are going to be challenged because you know the developable contextual configuration is quite different from the developing countries. Now developing countries are identical, and when it comes to Western model, of course there is a dichotomy between the Western modernization and the developing countries' nature. Now with that, I would like to draw your attention to the United Nations statement. Now this itself witnessed that the traditional knowledge and the traditional system in developing countries are accepted by the West, but they treat differently when it comes to practical situation. I quote, traditional knowledge consists of practical and normative knowledge concerning the ecological, socio-economic and cultural environment. Traditional knowledge originates from people and is transmitted by recognizable and experienced actors. It is systematic, experimental and handed down from generation to generation and culturally enhanced. Such a kind of knowledge supports diversity and enhances and reproduce local resources. Now this itself witness how it is important the contextual configuration of this developing world, which has not been properly addressed by Western models. Now my attention is drawn to the specific area, that is minor tank villages, which are considered as very much marginalized when compared to other settlements as well as the other parts of Sri Lanka as well as other countries. Of course, when it comes to developing world, I think I would like to say that this minor tank villages is very much applicable. Now in Sri Lanka, 25,000 minor tanks are there. Out of them, 12,000 minor tanks are functioning here in Sri Lanka. And out of all these minor tanks, 30% in Anuradhapura district. I have selected 3 villages of all these 30% minor tanks. Now the traditional system, of course, we can learn from the history, Vavai, Dagabai, Gamai, Pansalai. That was the traditional system, and we had a traditional knowledge, historically survived, compatible for the nature and everything. Now, looking at these aspects, I have taken this problem, and you can just see the two dimensions of the problem. Minor tank villages, especially those of not benefited from major irrigation schemes, are vulnerable to production as well as consumption. This is because of the applicability of the modernization to this part of the world. Contemporary development prescription have not been able to deal with the issues of development of these villages. So this problem is valid, as I see, because there was a conference in Hector Kobbakaduwa Agrarian Service Training Center. There it was concluded that technical aspects of minor tanks as well as minor tank villages is sufficiently studied, whereas social aspects have not been studied well, and as a result there is a validity of the problem. And the objective of this study is identify the evolving pattern of socio-economic, political and institutional environment of minor tank villages, identify the theoretical background of development discourse of minor tank villages, identify an alternative approach of development for rural settlement, which I am going to emphasize here in my presentation. Now, methodology, of course, I have not used the conventional quantitative bias methodology. I have focused on critical analysis, which is the most appropriate method of analysis for this kind of research. And anyway, I have drawn attention to the positivism as well as interpretivism where it is appropriate. 3 minor tank villages selected using combination of purposive sample and stratified sampling. And I have done macro level survey or study, micro level study, and cohort analysis of individual villages and 3 minor tank villages together. And thereafter I have done using SPSS further analysis to rationalize my model. Now these are the 3 villages I have selected. Now one is Mahakumukgollava. This is near Poonava in the Anuradhapura district. And this is Gonava, again a village in the Anuradhapura district. Now Thallatava, another village in the Anuradhapura district. Now having said that, I want to show you the cohort analysis of the present situation of Mahakumukgollava village that has been supported by Western bias development assistance. Now you will see what is existing in this particular village. Now these are some pictures from which you can learn about the present system of this Mahakumukgollava village. This is the tank. See how the tank is ignored by the people and as well as the government. This is one of the water supply based on the Western introduction using an agro well. This is one of the house. Likewise, you can go through all these pictures and get an idea of this particular village status. This is the agrochemical shop in the village. Now coming to Gonava, it's also a Purana village compared to Mahakumukgollava. This is going to be somewhat different, and people are antagonistic and at the same time comparatively very much lower. Now this is the tank of that particular village. You can see how the children are having a bath and swimming. Now see, this is of course this picture shows the controversial or the conflict between people. This is how the Pitavana going out or outflow the water during the rainy season. This is an agro well. So this is of course a retired soldier. This is also one of the important something that we observe in this village. Many people served in the armed services because of their lower standard and got opportunities, and now of course they are retired and work in the village. Discussion with the 2 Grama Sevakas, retired Grama Sevakas. Thallatava, again a similar kind of village. Discussion. Sorry for I have to rush because of the time. Pitavana of that tank. This is of course good village. Right, now I will go to the socio-economic cohort of the sample. Now you can see all these things in the coming slides. So this is basic information I have taken from 1984 to 2013 on population, family numbers, family size, highland, lowland, the status of the houses and all that. If anybody is interested, I can go in detail. Now this is non-farm and farm employment. Now percentage of farm and non-farm employment. You see how at the end of 90s how this started. Status of houses. With that I will go to my model. Right. Right. Now this is the rationale of my study. I use lack of finance, increase in disease and all that as the factors, and did sort of a Likert scale preferences and tested using chi-square test, and I have come to conclusion that those who are farmers are not satisfied with the present system, and the difference is statistically significant, and p-value is I think 0.001, and the difference I have tested is already significant, and I have proposed this proposal: allow those who wish to leave the village while allowing the rest of the community to get organized themselves in line with Purana village system with appropriate modernization, which is consistent with the concepts of sustainable development, gross human happiness, what was talking in the morning, a green development based on simple lifestyle, supported by Buddhism and collectivism. That is, I think, important. Now I have tested the acceptability using chi-square goodness of fit, and it was significant, and therefore my proposal is accepted and can be generalized. This is the proposal. I want to draw your attention to all these aspects. My contribution is the lower part. Sustainable development is already there. My contribution is the theoretical base for this sustainable development. What is down in there? On the basis of Buddhism and the Marxism. From the Marxism, way coming the community life philosophy, individual life philosophy coming from the Buddhism, interact each other, go towards sustainable development. The last entity is the spiritual development, which is important in this part of world. Historically, it is obvious. Now, these are the different stages of my model. Now, with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Now, these are the conclusion. I identify feasible plan for execute the proposed model in a representative village. Need to test in a representative village and see how this model is applicable. Then the second one, studies to test the model in other poverty-trodden societies. Issues pertaining to sustainability of such model. Explore the possibility of reinterpretation of current economic development aligned with the new model. Now, acknowledgement goes to all these institutes, people. Now, I should acknowledge the KDU giving research grant for my transportation and all that. Thank you very much.